Howdy folks, the Kaiju Cowboy here with a Kaiju movie review just for you, this time the granddaddy of them all, King Kong from 1933. Let's check it out. King Kong hit theaters in March 1933 and was directed and produced by Merian and Ernest. But not only is it a great classic monster film, it is a classic all-time great film. The film stars Fay Wray as Ann Darrow, Robert Armstrong as Carl Denham, and Bruce Cabot as Jack Driscoll. Ann is a down-on-her-luck actress in the 1930s Depression and is recruited by Carl Denham to star in his latest adventure film. The two filmmakers head to Skull Island on the boat, with first mate Jack Driscoll leading the way. As they travel to the fabled island, Jack and Ann fall in love, and it's just your typical romance story from the 1930s. A hard-nosed man who looks down on women, says they're no good, gets softened by the beauty and charm of Ann Darrow. But that's not the only heart Ann would claim, as soon they would find a giant gorilla on Skull Island who kidnaps Ann, forcing Jack and Carl on an adventure to save her, capture the gorilla, and take him back to New York to the fabled Empire State Building scene where airplanes take down the giant Kong. Or was it Beauty who slay the beast? Cooper and Schoedsack's King Kong was a film ahead of its time in many ways. With groundbreaking stop-motion animation by Willis O'Brien, with just a little suspension of disbelief, you'll get sucked right into the monster action of King Kong. Cooper and Schoedsack seamlessly blend the stop-motion animation special effects with the live-action counterparts of the actors, and it melds together with a wonderful story by James Creelman and Ruth Rose, and it's not just one of the greatest giant monster kaiju movies of all time, it's also one of the greatest films of all time, and without it, we wouldn't see movies we see today. Furthermore, another groundbreaking aspect of this film is the music score by Max Steiner. Most films of this era use stock music for their scores, but Max Steiner composed a score exclusively for King Kong, and the film is better for it. King Kong paved the way for all of our favorite movies, Godzilla, Jaws, and every blockbuster you see hit the silver screen today. My favorite scene in the film, and I know it's a lot of people's favorite scene in the film, is the moment where King Kong has to save Ann Darrow from a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Not only is the stop-motion animation great and it still holds up to today, but it seamlessly blends Ann Darrow sitting on a log trying to watch the fight unfold in front of her, and the cinematography, the blend of stop-motion and live action together is just a great seamless action scene that lives up to today, and it's easy to see why this film became so iconic with action as this. My favorite point in this scene is when the two bump up against the log that Ann Darrow is sitting on, and the log falls over towards the camera. This moment of the film is just a great way to suck you into the stop-motion animation as it melds perfectly with the live action. You completely forget that these are two models meticulously articulated together to form the action frame by frame. Once you buy this moment in the film, you're sucked into the world of Skull Island until the end of the film. You completely forget that these are models inches high on the table. Talking again about the score by Max Steiner, not only is it a great score, but it's a first of its era, music specifically composed for the film it's shown with. The score is also composed in a method called Mickey Mousing, where the action matches the notes on screen. Some of my favorite moments from Steiner's score that use this Mickey Mouse method are scenes like where the native chief is marching down the stairs toward our heroes. Each step is a different note. Other great parts of the score is when the drum beats match the punches and blows given by King Kong as he fights giant monster after giant monster on Skull Island, protecting Ann Darrow. The score does a great job establishing the mood of Skull Island, but also accentuating the action we see throughout the film. And it just adds to the film. Not only are you getting eye candy from the action and the stop motion animation, but you're also getting ear candy from the great score. While I have a lot to praise about King Kong, some of my negatives are the human aspects of this film. Ann Darrow, played by Fay Wray, is great. About halfway through the movie, once Kong captures her, the rest of her movie is basically just screaming. But I can tell you what, that lady's got a pair of lungs on her. Another part of the human storyline I don't really care for is Jack's turn from looking down on women to falling in love with Ann. It happens really quick. Like, one time he's like, oh, we don't need women on the boat. Women are just trouble. They're just bothersome. Why are you with us? You're just a distraction. And then about 2 days later, he's like, Ann, I think I love you. And just like that, Ann's in love with him. I mean, it's the sign of the times. It's the script of the times.
I guess I love you.
That's how love went, I guess, in the 30s.
Why, Jack, you hate women.
In today's standards, if I talked or treated my wife like Ann's treated by Jack,
Women on ships, do you?
No, they're a nuisance.
I probably wouldn't be married today. But a positive note on the human side of characters is Carl Denham. Robert Armstrong plays Carl Denham great. You can see the obvious modeling of Carl Denham after the film's creator, Merian C. Cooper. He's a little hard-headed, he's a little looking for trouble, hoping for adventures around every corner, waiting for that perfect shot, and gets a little bit in over his head when he finds Kong on Skull Island. But deep down, Carl Denham's got a heart. It's only bad luck and seldom delusions of grandeur that gets him into trouble.
Good Lord, you talk as if I never brought anybody back alive.
Now, the moment we all wait for in every giant monster kaiju movie, that's the giant monster fights. And King Kong's got some good ones. There's multiple action sequences with multiple monsters throughout this film, and they're all great. You got King Kong versus Jack's crew as they try to cross over the log with the cannon below them, and you see them getting tumbled and thrown about. Great action there. There's also a little hint of a skull crawler there from Kong Skull Island that pokes his head up as Jack's hiding in a cave. Look again next time you watch it. You'll realize, hey, that's what the skull crawlers are modeled off of in Kong Skull Island. It's pretty cool. Another great monster scene is when the crew is trying to cross the giant river. They build a raft, they head across, but then a brontosaurus pops his head up and says, hey, these are my parts. Get out of here. He gnaws on them, he bites them, he throws them. That's probably one of the greatest action sequences in the film is that chase scene. But let's not forget the star of the show, Kong, and all of his fights against other monsters. We already talked about the T-Rex fight, that's great, but there's also another fight that's awesome that takes place in the cave of Skull Island, inside Kong's lair, so to speak. I'm not sure why there's such a big monster in Kong's lair. You'd think Kong would be the alpha monster of the island. Other monsters would know not to mess with him. But the Elasmosaurus, it's not a snake, because it's got legs, okay? It's got limbs on him. But that's a great fight. The serpent-like dinosaur tries to choke Kong out, and you got a good wrestling scene. You got cave walls to bash him against. It's a great fight. Just a little hair underneath the T-Rex fight that we talked about earlier. And then once Kong is taken off the island to New York, we see him face off against a train, right? A subway train. That's great. And also the planes on top of the Empire State Building. Lots of monster action in this, ahead of its time. If it wasn't for these iconic scenes, we wouldn't have other iconic scenes in later monster movies. King Kong paved the way for the next 100 years of giant monster movies. We wouldn't be here without him. Now, when it comes to scoring King Kong here at the Kaiju Cowboy Ranch, we have one way to do it. How many bullets of a 6-shooter does it fill? Well, I'm sure you can guess how many. We got a full cylinder of 6 bullets. That's right, King Kong scores 6 out of 6 bullets on the Kaiju Cowboy scorecard. It's a classic. We would not have monster films today without King Kong. That does it for this giant monster kaiju movie review from the Kaiju Cowboy. If you like this review, hit like and subscribe, and stick around for more reviews, commentary, news, and good old-fashioned reaction videos to kaiju movies. Don't forget to comment below. What's your favorite scene of King Kong? What's your favorite monster fight of King Kong? And how would you grade King Kong on your kaiju movie monster scorecard? Don't forget to share this video with friends out there who like giant monsters just like me. Maybe they'll get a kick out of the Kaiju Cowboy. Until next time, I'm the Kaiju Cowboy. And remember, folks, don't drink downstream from the herd.